The following is a paid advertisement. The content shared does not reflect the beliefs or opinions of Three Eagles Communications, Headwaters Media, or Heart of the Rockies radio management or staff.
Hello, welcome to the Living in Salida podcast. I'm Monica McCarthy, your host, and today we are going to be speaking with Rachel Bove. She is the owner of Lotic Salon that is located in downtown Salida, and she's a cut and color specialist. She's also the co-founder of the Salida Women in Business Group. She's the mother of 2 young girls and just an excellent human being. So she's going to give us a nice insight into living in Salida.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
This is awesome.
So I'll just start with you where we start with everybody. Tell us your Salida origin story. How did you end up living here?
So my brother actually was living in Salida before I was here. So that's how I came to know it. I had visited a few times and wanted to make my way out west. I was living in Raleigh, North Carolina before I was here.
Okay.
We're both originally from Denver, so my whole family kind of like the dream was to gravitate back this way.
Okay.
I just don't think we ever thought it would actually happen.
Yeah.
So when I was like toying around with the idea of moving out here, I was working at a high-end salon in North Carolina and realized there wasn't one locally. Mm-hmm. So my move out here kind of came hand in hand with opening the salon. So it was like, if I want to be here, I know I'm going to have to do my own thing just because there wasn't a setup like I was used to working in.
Okay.
So that's how it happened. I kind of like got the ball rolling, seeing if the salon was possible, made the move out, and then one thing led to another, and here I am 7 years later.
7 years. Okay,
Yeah.
So what does that make me do math? 2018?
2017.
2017.
I opened the salon in 2018 because I worked on it for about a year before I opened it. So yeah, 2017 was when I landed here.
You bought the building on First Street?
I do not own it. My dad does own it, so I do know my landlord very well.
That helps.
That really helps. But yeah, so I rent from him. But
great.
So he owns it.
Okay.
And yeah, he was like in the market looking at the same time that I was thinking about doing the salon.
Oh, nice.
And the building that we are in was vacant for so long. So it was just like such a gem. Yeah. Diamond in the rough. Like the realtor was like, are you sure you want to do this? Like this building has its things. And because nobody had been in it for so long.
Yeah.
So we decided to do it. And I have a background in interior design and my brother worked on it with me. So we just took it under our wing and made it what it is now.
That's right. And your brother's an artist, right?
Yeah, he is. So yeah, it's awesome. I mean, we feel so fortunate.
Absolutely. So that's usually the question of, how do you make Salida work?
Yes.
Some people come with their own work or, working remotely, or sometimes you can find a job here, but you came and created your own work.
And I think you do. I think that's a piece of Salida. Like you just have to get creative with it if you want to make it happen here.
Yeah.
It's super intimidating, but I think I was just like at the age at that point in my life where I was just more flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
You just didn't think about things as much, So I was like, well, I'm doing it.
Why not?
Here we go.
Yeah.
And it worked out. I mean, it's been an awesome, beautiful thing. So
yeah. How do you feel like it was received to open up a different type of salon?
I think it was received really well. I had talked to a lot of people before I opened that kind of just asking like if they thought it would do well. And so many people would tell me everyone's still driving to the Front Range. Not everyone, but a lot of people are still driving to the Front Range to get their hair done. And there is just kind of this missing piece here. So I felt confident in it, but you still don't know. I mean, I had barely lived here, so I didn't really know. And Salida was different at that time. So I was nervous about it, but it was received really well. I tapped into like a few different groups of people in town and it just took off from there.
Okay. What did you do then? Like for somebody who's thinking of opening a business here, like what kind of research did you do?
I think the best thing is talking to people, just getting a feel of how things work around here because it is unique. It is its own thing. So I think the more you know, the better off you'll be.
Okay.
And then you do have to have just like a blind faith in it, I think, at a certain point. Like if you're passionate about what you're doing, you realize there's a market for it, then I say go for it. But yeah, I think truly just talking to people is your best bet. Don't go into it not understanding how Salida operates, because I do think you have to have that grasped before you just dive in.
Yeah. Did you go on Facebook to talk to people? Or
so my brother was living here. He had been here for a few years. So he had like an awesome community that I just, he's really good friends with Kimmy, who owns Hal Mercantile across the street from the salon. She was an excellent source for me.
Yeah.
Because she had just opened within the year. So just talking to people like that have businesses.
Okay.
And then roll from there.
Yeah. And kind of getting a feel for what's the market here and
totally.
the clientele. So how do you feel like Salida is different from where you came from?
So, I mean, Raleigh is definitely a city. I mean, it's a mid-sized city, but there's a million salons. There's just constant people feeding through from cosmetology schools. I mean, it's endless clientele. So here, I think that's the difference is like you really do have to establish within like smaller groups of people to spread your name, and word of mouth is absolutely huge here.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's how I built my whole clientele in the salon, really, was just word of mouth.
Yeah. And so now I was just looking at your website, you're referral only.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that sounds like a nice place to be.
It is. I'm in a sweet spot.
Fortunate. Because
yeah. I feel fortunate to have you.
I'm one of your clients from the beginning.
You have been.
But tell us a little bit how you grew your salon. So it started out just you, and now you have several people in there, right?
There's 5 of us in there now, which is amazing. I feel so lucky. That was one of the more nerve-wracking things for me, opening a salon of that size. Was hoping that people would just be moving to town that were kind of the same story as me, like wanted to live in Salida, but were used to working in a higher end salon environment. And so it took a few years to get it really in a good place. I'll be honest about that, but it's in such a sweet spot. The crew we have in there is so amazing. And it is all people that have moved in from other cities and wanted to land here, but wanted to keep working in kind of a boutique style salon. Yeah. So I feel so fortunate for that. But I think that's the thing that I would tell people opening a business is like, you do just have to be patient in those beginning years, like, and trust the process and know that you will get there and you'll find good people. And I always say you are who you hire. So it's like, it's worth it to wait for the good ones and not rush it. Yeah. So I feel very lucky.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are in a really good spot. So I know when you first opened, you kind of had it as kind of an art type thing. Not as much now, right?
So my brother's an artist. Him and his husband adopted a little boy this year. So when he kind of stepped back and he's now a stay-at-home dad. And
lovely.
Loving it. Yeah. So we expanded the salon at that point in time. We added 2 chairs and
gotcha.
It's been great.
Okay. Because that's kind of how you handled more of the leaner years too, right? Because I know you were hosting his art.
Exactly.
And,
yeah. We started with 4 chairs and now we have 6 total.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. So Salida, so you opened a business here, but you also, I mean, you're very much ingrained in the community. Yeah. We'll start with what kind of stuff do you like to do at Salida specific?
I feel like my pre-mom life and my post-mom life.
Sure. How old are your kids?
So I have my oldest daughter. She will be turning 3 next week. Yeah. And then I have a 1-year-old.
Yeah. So you're in the thick of it.
I've been in the thick of it. Pre that, I've always loved to fly fish. I love to hike. Okay. I grew up around both of those things just in my family. My parents lived in Denver for 13 years, so they would bring us back to Colorado every summer. Okay. So I've always loved those things, and I'm going to be better about curating time to do those things again. And then we have been renovating houses too for the past couple of years, and I love that. That's like my biggest pastime, I would say right now. It's like putting in projects at home. And so that's my free time when I can find it.
Nice. Yeah. Well then, we'll hop around a little bit. I want to get back to life here. Yeah. But I was going to ask you about renovating houses because I think that you have a really cool example. You bought a house. What year did you buy your first house? I bought the F Street house in 2018. Okay. So, and I remember was it? Yeah. Maybe 2019. It was right before everything popped off. Okay. Yeah. And so I know you were, F Street prime location and that was what you saw. Yeah. And it didn't care about anything else about it. We like laugh looking at it now because it kind of fell into our laps. We knew the power of attorney for the property. And so it wasn't even on the market yet. Oh, that's right. And we had been looking for a couple of months, but not really intensely. Kind of, we were like getting discouraged and we're like, maybe just, it's not the time. Mm-hmm. And then this popped up and I just remember being like, okay, it's an adorable old house in town. Let's do it. Yeah. Like in a price range that we can afford. Yeah. And which is hard. I don't think we looked at anything else. I don't think we even looked at the details of anything happening inside. Yeah. So, but we did it and it turned out awesome. We can get into all that, but it was awesome for us. Yeah. Yeah. No, because I know that was the draw was just the location. Yes. Because if you're not familiar with Salida, F Street is the prime
the
location.
place
It was
to be.
F and
11th.
11th. Okay,
Yeah,
so
which was also,
very much on the
I mean,
grid.
it was like so amazing because it was F Street, but it was like a little further outside of downtown. So we weren't like completely in the hustle and bustle. But as far as town living, I mean, it doesn't get better.
Walk and bike to everything. The quintessential Salida life.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was a true gut. I mean, we gutted it all ourselves.
What year was the house built? Was it
1904?
Okay. So there were all sorts of fun things that you uncovered, I'm sure.
Yes. But to be honest, I feel like it was one of those things along the way. Everyone was like, get ready. You're going to find all this crazy stuff. And truly, we were actually just with the people that we just sold it to this past weekend. And we were telling them there was nothing that major. Like it was.
That's great.
I think it was an original Sears house. So it's just like solid. It was solid.
Nice.
The same lady lived in it for 70 years, took great care of it.
That's
so,
amazing.
I mean, as far as renovation, we got lucky.
Yeah. So I know one of the questions people have when they're wanting to buy here is, getting this help to actually do the remodel. How did that? Obviously, it succeeded because I saw the house was gorgeous.
Yeah, we did a lot of it ourselves.
You did.
I will be honest about that. We hired out. I'm trying to think back on it. Roof we hired out. Outside painting we hired out, and then some of the electrical. But as far as like any interior painting, I was in there knocking down walls. I was doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We redid the floors. So, I mean, we pieced it piece by piece, but we got fortunate. My husband is from here, so he knew people that were able to come in and charge a reasonable price for the things that we did have to hire out.
Gotcha. So you feel like it kind of helped having an in to know somebody
I do think
to
that
help.
Helps.
Yeah, sure.
I do think
and I think that does. I mean, and that's the case. I have clients that say, who can help me with this? And so it's good to know somebody who knows somebody.
Well, and I think just not being afraid to ask. Like, if you know somebody, I always think, I'm like, if I'm talking to a contractor and they're like, absolutely not, I can't get to you for 2 years. I'm like, okay, give me 5 people that you do know. Even if they're just starting, like, let me know their names so I can like reach out to them. Yeah. So it's just, you kind of have to like dig and then keep digging.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot of people coming here.
Yeah, there are.
To open.
Which is amazing.
Because there's a need, right?
It's so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's possible if you are looking to remodel. It is possible here.
And I think just reworking your expectations. Like I think that's the big difference with being in the city. It's like you call a contractor, they can come that week to look at your project. You just have to rework your mind and be like, okay, if I call them, they might not be able to come for a month. Mm-hmm. And I have to be okay with that if I want it done correctly. And so it is just reworking your expectation a little bit.
Yeah, just because
it is possible, though.
A smaller place. So then to continue that conversation, you decided to, because your family expanded, you want a little bit more space. The lovely upstreet home was not quite big enough for a growing family.
It was 900 square feet. It was tiny. But our dream, to be honest, was always to add on to it. And so that was like the goal. I always used to joke. I was like, you'll have to carry me out of here when I die. Like, I'm just going to die on F Street. And we put so much sweat equity into it. It was like hard to fathom leaving it.
Yeah.
But then as it goes, people always laugh at me now. They're like, we knew this day would happen. You were just needing to come to terms with it.
Totally.
But yeah, my family grew and we were just busting at the seams. And we kind of got more realistic about adding on. We were like, if we want to add on financially, that's probably not going to happen for us. As we know, it's super expensive here. So that's probably not going to happen for us until the girls are like in high school. And then we're not going to want to be doing it.
Yeah.
Even if it can happen then, Yeah. So I played the Zillow game. I just like started looking. Half the time I was super discouraged because in our price point, it is hard. I mean, a lot of this stuff with more space is a complete fixer-upper again, which I was okay. I'm okay with renovating, but I did not want to do like another full gut with kids.
Yeah.
Because when James and I were doing it without kids, it could be 11 p.m. and I could be knocking down a wall and everything was fine.
Yeah, you don't have a little one that has to sleep, right?
Yeah, when there's 2 little kids running around, you just can't do that.
Yeah.
So I knew that. So yeah, I was kind of like discouraged for a little bit and I was like, man, I just don't know what we're going to do. Like, we're going to have to either figure out this house with 900 square feet and the 4 of us plus our dog. Mm-hmm. I don't know. And then kind of the same thing, like just like got lucky. Looked on Zillow one day, this place 5 minutes outside of town popped up and I was intrigued by it. Not a complete renovation, all just cosmetic stuff, like in really great shape. It's 2.5 acres, beautiful views. So I did the drive-by multiple times, talked to my husband multiple times until the point where he was like, all right, I think you're being serious about this. Like, we should call somebody if this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
And he was hesitant about it. I'm not going to lie. He's like, grew up in town. He's an in-town guy. But
yeah.
Excuse me. I wouldn't drop it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Here we are living in that house. So, excuse me. Sorry. Something's in my throat.
That's all right.
I got him out of town. Do we edit? Thank you.
We can edit this part. It's fine.
Okay, thank you so much. So anyway, kept driving by, called the realtor. Is this possible at all? You know? And we found out a way to make it work, and we did it, and we sold the F Street house. It was under contract in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of people through it. And we're really happy about it, to be honest. Like, it just having more space, having views. I love being out of town a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think just working downtown, I'm around people all day. So I don't think I realized that. Like, it's like I was leaving the salon, going 2 seconds down F Street, and never getting a break from like, people. Now when I'm driving home, it's like I have this breath of fresh air when I get halfway home where I'm, okay, I feel like I can decompress a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, we got lucky. I mean, it's 5 minutes outside of town.
Yeah, that's like nothing.
Barely out of town.
But it is funny because I try to explain that to people because you have, the downtown corridor, the quintessential walk and bike to all the things versus just a little bit outside of town. And then you get that acreage, you get that space, you get those views.
And I mean, the bike path's right in our front yard. So like truly, it's like it's a couple more minutes.
So you can still
always joke, like anywhere else in the world, this would be in town. But in Salida, it's considered out of town.
It's considered out of town, which is funny. Yeah. But you're just kind of a section, it's how far out of town at that point. But you can, so you got 2 acres, 5 minutes out of town.
A little bit outside of 2 acres. Yeah, we have this incredible ditch that I call the riverfront property. But we just have a ditch that runs through our front yard, but it's huge. So it really is like this little creek. The girls love it. Nice. I mean, it's awesome. Like, we have these perks that we didn't have in town. Yeah. But it just, it's like, what's the phrase that I'm looking for?
Well, just kind of like, it's all relative. Yeah. Like, or kind of where you are in life too.
Exactly. Like, we were obsessed with town. We're also obsessed with living out of town. Yeah. There's things we miss about being in town, but there's things that are making up for it where we live now.
Yeah. You kind of have to make those choices like with any house.
I really, and also you're living in Salida, so it's like a win-win.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're still in Salida, so that's pretty amazing. Exactly. So let's talk a little bit. So you're very much a Salida person now. You married a native. He was born in...
Sure did.
He was born here?
He was born... His parents lived in Gardner, Colorado, when he was little, which is like a very tiny, tiny place outside of essentially Westcliff. Like, if you keep going past Westcliff. And then his family moved here when he was 1. His mom started teaching at the school.
Okay. So pretty much most of his
whole life.
Yeah. So then it's like you immediately get this native by association status, I guess.
I think so. It was intimidating when we first started dating. I definitely will say. But I, again, was going in blind. Like, I didn't really know much about Salida. So I was like, oh, this is great.
Because you moved here as a single woman and then, ended up marrying a native.
Which is rare, but it happens.
Sure, it can happen.
So hold on to hope, people.
Exactly.
It can happen. But so but I think it's been such an awesome thing because I do have this unique perspective through him that a lot of people don't have.
It seems like it, yeah.
But then I also have my perspective, which is somebody that moved here relatively recently. Yeah. So it's fun for both of us. We can like balance each other out with that a little bit. Yeah. Which has been good and healthy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, he gets to raise his kids here. He does. So like, what are the kind of the stuff that he did? Like go to Monarch Mountain, like all that?
Yeah, I mean, he grew up skiing. He's an incredible skier. Grew up mountain biking, but he also was like just kind of a big sports kid in high school. He played basketball, soccer. He swam growing up. So he did like all the normal kid things too that you would do anywhere else. But he's an incredible mountain biker still. That's like his biggest passion. Still skis, and it is incredible watching him get to parent the girls in this place and do the things that he loves doing. Him and our daughter on that little shotgun bike seat all the time. He just took her on the trails for the first time last weekend, and it was like a very big thing for our family, you know?
Yeah, no, that's huge. And it's amazing. I was talking to somebody else who's recently moved here, and you just have this, like, kids start those activities super young in Salida relative to the rest of the world.
I think is amazing. Yeah, I think it's amazing. And you like see it all differently, you know, because I feel like there is so many highs and lows to living in Salida when you don't have kids, and then all of a sudden you have kids and you're looking at it through their perspective and you're like, this is incredible. I mean, to think that they're going to go on after high school and say this is where they grew up. Yeah. I think it's so cool. You know,
well, like so elaborate on that. What makes Salida, besides the introduction of sports?
Yeah, I think just being in the mountains, having that access. And I do just think it creates, I don't know, kids that grow up here are just cool. I mean, they're like laid back. They have, I feel like, a good understanding of like what's important in life, chasing like passions that are impactful to you and things that make you feel healthy and good. I just think there is something different about it. Yeah, I've watched it, like knowing James's friends that he grew up with in adulthood, knowing his friends now that were like his teachers here. I mean, it's just an awesome group of people. So I just feel really lucky that the girls get to grow up here. Yeah, I think there's a lot of small town perks with raising kids here. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, and just like the accountability too. I grew up in a super small town. I feel like it's that classic thing when you don't love it necessarily growing up, but then you look back and you're like, holy cow, that was amazing.
Yeah, it is nice kind of like, I feel like there's a degree of communal parenting that happens. Totally. Like if you're at the park and one parent needs to walk away for a second, another parent will just be there to kind of help them on the swing or whatever it is.
You need it. I mean, it's like that classic thing. It takes a village. Yeah. And like my experience versus like watching my friends' experiences who don't live here, I do feel super lucky with that. Like I think there is a big difference. And just like the support around moms, the support, you know, like it's huge here. And it's not like that in cities. So I feel super, super grateful for it.
Yeah. And it kind of, you're able to find your community a little bit easier, it seems like.
Totally.
Yeah. And so I guess to dovetail from that, you created a group.
Yes, right? Yes. My friend Sarah and I did this year.
Yes. So the Salida Women in Business group. Is that, I get that right? Yeah.
You did.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So we were just chatting one night. I was doing her hair and she owns The Well, which is an aesthetic spa in Two Rivers.
Okay.
Yep. And she med spa, I guess you should say. And we were chatting. We were kind of just like bouncing business ideas back and forth off of each other. And we were like, this would be so amazing if more women could get together and do this. Yeah. There's so many women business owners in Salida. Yeah. It's incredible when you start to dive into it. So we literally created it in like a week. We threw our first event together in record time. Yeah. And it was great. We had an awesome turnout. And it really want it to just be this thing where we get together a couple times a year. People can chat, hang out, realize they're not alone in the experience. Yeah. And I'm sure they'll shift each time. You know, like the winter one, we're thinking of doing more just like fun, laid back. Maybe a theme.
Okay. Okay.
I'm like, just a way to like celebrate each other and get together and share each other's stories, learn how each other started their businesses. I think it's important, just the community aspect of it.
Absolutely. And and that support of businesses. Because I know when you put it together quickly, I didn't make the very first one. I was like, what is this? I didn't even know we needed this, but we absolutely need this. And so there's a lot of promotion of other businesthing through social media.
Yeah, we have an Instagram account where if you want us to repost anything for like an event that you're having or just anything really that's going on with your business, we'll repost it just to try to get the word out more. And just make people more aware. I think owning a business can be super isolating. I think you're so busy keeping everything afloat that you just end up in your own little world. Sure. So I think that is huge when you can come together and realize there's other women out there feeling the exact same way as you, doing similar things potentially as you. Sure. It's just important to not isolate in that situation.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then I know the spring one, we had a few wonderful speakers.
Yeah, we did, which was amazing.
Gave me some ideas of people I've actually interviewed one of them, Laura, on Laura. This podcast. Yeah. So yeah, just to kind of promote each other. So when's the next one? Do we know yet?
We're planning winter. Okay. Yeah, we're thinking winter. So we'll be posting about it. So everyone needs to look out for that.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. So Salida Women in Business, if you're a woman business owner here,
It's really fun.
It was a good event. I feel like everybody was just smiles and
which is what we want
at the end of it. A few tears of
definitely.
just sharing.
The stories are moving this past time. It's incredible to hear where people came from and how they ended up succeeding in ways that they did.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just kind of what you're saying. So if somebody's interested in moving here or starting a business here,
totally.
What do you have any other insight into?
I think, again, like business wise, just reach out to as many people as you can, understand the market, understand how things operate, why people have been successful here.
Yeah.
And then you just have to jump in. I always tell people it's never not scary. I mean, that doesn't ever go away, but you get better at being scared. That's essentially what it is. You know, like when you start a business, it's your baby. So you want it to succeed. You put a lot of energy into it. Totally. So just definitely dive in, do your research, but I say go for it. I mean, if you have a good idea, this community is really accepting, I think, of new businesses. There are things we need. So people are excited usually.
And kind of, looking for the needs.
Totally.
I think that's a big one, especially since we're growing. There are certain things that, especially a lot of people are coming from cities.
Yes.
What are those things that people want here that aren't here yet?
Yeah. And then, I mean, as far as like moving here goes, I think what I love about Salida, and I think what everyone loves about Salida, is like its uniqueness, the culture of the people. So I think that's a big one. Like, just really think about, like, do I fit in with this like laid back rural lifestyle? It is rural. So it's like, I think that sometimes seeing clients over the years, that's always where it kind of gets tricky for people, I think, is like they're used to the access of the city. Sure. And so I think it's really just getting honest with yourself about that. Like, do I need those things? What is important? And if you think you can like let go of that a little bit, I think it's an incredible place to be.
Absolutely.
And you do learn how to adjust to that.
Yeah. So you kind of mean like amenities that the city would have that you'd have to drive back for kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know when I moved from Denver, I thought I was going to have to go back a lot. I actually did drive back to get my hair done until I found you. So you slowly let go of those ties that are tethering you to the city. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, when's the last time I went back to the city?
It's so true.
Then you get a breath of fresh air when you're get here and there's no traffic.
Yes. Well, and I always tell people that too. Like, if people are going a little stir crazy here when they first move here, I'm like, just plan a trip for like a weekend. Because when you come back, I guarantee you'll do that drive into BB and you'll take like a deep breath and you'll like, oh my gosh, thank God I'm back.
You see those collegiate mountains and it's just
so, But you do have to leave for a few days to like regain love for it, I think sometimes. Because it is small. But I think to your point, like over time, you start realizing you don't need those things as much as you thought you did when you were in the city. I did the same thing. I used to go a lot. Now I rarely go.
Yeah. I think you just get more ingrained here. So well, thank you for being one of the resources for people in Salida, and appreciate you speaking with us. So if somebody is interested in getting a high-end haircut or color in Salida, where can people find you?
So we have a website, loticsalon.com. All of our stylists run their own businesses within our salon. So we book individually. So you can reach out to your stylist via their direct line, which those are all listed online. They're also on Instagram. If people are like curious about any of our work, you can go look at our Instagram page. That one is at Lotic Salon. And those are your points. Always just walk into if you have any questions, and somebody's always in there to answer and direct you to who you need to be talking to.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, so she's right on First Street. I'll have all that information in the notes. But thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was amazing. I'm so glad you're doing this.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun.
Good.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Living in Salida podcast. I'm Monica McCarthy, a realtor who specializes in Salida and surrounding areas. And if you found this episode helpful, particularly if you have a friend that is considering buying here, please share it with them. And subscribe if you can. I have my information as well in the show notes, so you can reach out to me there. And if you have comments, questions, or you want to be on this show, you can email me at livinginsalida@gmail.com, and we can connect that way. Thank you for listening.